anyone else in future, don't expect it to be like 100% all something that you have never heard before. I think the main goal should be that if you pick an idea or a couple of ideas and you build on it, that is worth your time. If you don't learn anything, then it's waste of time. But even if you learn a point or two, that's how it is. I mean, if you go to any seminar, I mean, there is so much to talk about real estate, and most of it could be repeating or saying the same thing but in different words, or presenting it in a different way. I think it is just that if I go, my goal is not to get 100% of everything he says that I've never heard. No, even if I get a 1% or 2% or just a couple of good ideas, that's good enough for me. And that's how it should be. So before we continue any further, any questions? Okay, so those are the three main sources that I think, as I said, there could be so many different sources. For example, you can advertise on KGG, you can advertise on magazines, real estate magazines. You can do so many things, but those three were the most effective for me. Especially the circle of influence is something that it can make you start, give you confidence, but farming is more long term if you want to treat this like a business and if you're serious about it. Now, whatever way or sources you get your clients, this 4 point is that somehow build on those clients, and that itself will become a source of business. So people that you have worked with, try to keep in touch with them. Now, this may not necessarily apply for you right now, but you can pick some ideas and make it maybe apply even in the scenario that you're in. So let me play this video, and then we can talk about it or even discuss about it once you see what I'm talking about.
Hello and welcome to Real Estate in Focus. One of the very effective ways of creating business for realtors is by creating some kind of relationship marketing. That means you have to establish a system that you will get referral for your business. Referral business is very effective, and not only effective in terms of you getting more business, but it is effective in terms of cost. You will spend a lot more money to get strangers coming to you and giving you business, rather if someone can give you a referral, one of your friends or past clients that you have offered good service, professional service, will refer you to their friends, family, and co-workers. So try to have, in the long run in your business, some kind of a system that will bring you referral business, referral clients. Your main source of referral clients are two. One is from your current friends, people that you know, your family, your co-workers, people that you have relationship with. Now, with this category of people, you have opportunity because they trust you, they know you, but on the other hand, we have barrier because they know your past, they know you as a professional and as a profession that you had in the past. For instance, if you were a musician, they know that you did a good job and you were a good musician, but now you're a realtor and you have to inform them and you have to let them know and you have to somehow convince them that you're also a very professional realtor. This could be accomplished by you trying to send your marketing material, try to keep in touch with them by sending some kind of gift cards, your occasion cards, or some kind of relationship to be built so that they know that you're in this business and you're doing a professional job. The a system that you're sending some kind of material that will help them. For example, maintaining your home, or a list of services. For example, contractors that will fix their heating or plumbing or appliances. You're helping them by providing this information and at the same time keeping in touch with them. They will in turn give you some kind of referral in this relationship. You will earn the right that they will give you referral. So it boils down to two things. Keep and maintain your current relationship, but at the same time try to convince them that you're in a new kind of profession. At the same time, keep in touch with your past clients. Thank you.
Keep in touch, and there is a lot of occasions in a year, as we were talking about it before. It could be, I don't know, Canada Day, Christmas time. There is a lot of different excuses, and hopefully Valentine is not one of those excuses. You don't want to send a rose to everyone on your list. You will get in trouble at home.
Yeah.
If you have home, I mean. If you don't, then it's good. So I think I want to emphasize this earning the right to return. I don't know what's your take, but let me explain what do I mean from that. You know, there is the saying that they say, if you want others to respect you, you should earn the right for people to respect you. That means you respect people, and then people will eventually try to respect you. Unfortunately, some of the parents expect their kids to respect them, but they don't respect their kids.
Mm-hmm.
That's the problem, and I think we have these expectations. So I think same idea, same principle could apply to clients. If you try to treat them good, if you keep in touch with them, you will earn the right. You will earn that respect that people will then return a favor and they will refer you a client. You can't just say at the back of your card that, you know, gave me a referral, which is a good thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but that's not good enough. You have to do something more than that. You have to help them, keep in touch with them, remember their birthday and send a card. I think even some close families don't send us cards on our birthdays, but maybe you can be that person, and you will make their day, and they will remember you. And I think this is another stat, that when you target strangers, it will cost you 9 times more. That's a lot of money. When it says cost, it could be your time too. If it is a referral, that means someone else liked you and then said go with this agent. That means your cost is down by 9 times, and you're more efficient and effective in what you're doing. Okay, about this idea of referral, I'm not sure how many of you have heard this guy. He's from US, very established person. He works and he teaches and he has training. He has come to Toronto area a couple of times last year, or probably more than a couple of times. His whole business is on referral. Remember earlier in today's session, I introduced you to a book that was about circle of influence. This is another system that I'm referring you. It's about referral. So these are 2 things that I have so far. These are the 2 main established sources of business. This guy has books, materials, CDs, coaching classes, online training. I mean, you name it, but his main focus is referral. And then the earlier guy was Circle of Influence. It's a book. And I'm not sure if you guys have noticed so far in my presentation. If you have not noticed, then let me tell you. My way of working and teaching and training is that I try to come up with as much as possible practical aspect of this business. Unfortunately, 99.9% of trainings that I have been to, they will teach you very general and vague. They give you the idea, they hype you up, but they don't give you something tangible that you can hold and you say, you know what, I will do A, B, C, or I will do 1, 2, 3. They will use some sophisticated words, some sophisticated material. They will hype you up. They are motivational speakers, But at the end of the day, when you come out of those seminars, you don't know what to do. I mean, okay, I'm hyped up, I know that this will work, but something tangible that I can hold on. So I try to come up with more practical things that you can actually go out of this room and do it. So, and unfortunately, you will not find that in a lot of other places. Okay, so this is our last, not last slide, but last section. It is how to plan your daily schedule. So basically now, hopefully, I'm not a motivational speaker, but hopefully I have hyped you up enough that you think this will work, and you will go and then plan your daily schedule. When I was very young, probably a teenager, you will not believe it, maybe some people will call me nerd for this, but I had even every 10 minutes of my day scheduled. So I mean, I'm coming at 3 o'clock from school, then 3 to 3:30 I will do this, and then 4 I will do that, and then I was part of so many groups, and I was interested in a lot in soccer and volleyball. I was doing so many things at the same time. I was interested in art, so I had a schedule. Well, sometimes that schedule, if it is too much, it is not practical. So then it is like, you're setting goals at the beginning of every year to lose weight or do whatever, and then you don't do it. You just do it for a couple of weeks. I think losing weight is about lifestyle, not something that you will do it about in a month. So same thing applies about this schedule. What I'm proposing, I think, in my opinion, is not something hard that you cannot do it. It is something more practical. So I will play a video, and then we will discuss. I think this is the most crucial of all the things that we have discussed so far. So hopefully you guys take a note, and if you have any question, let me know.
Hello and welcome to Real Focus. You're just out of school. You have finished your phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. You're out of school, and some people are offering you phase 4, more education. Or you want to plan and hide behind a lot of paperwork. Or about more than 10 years of my experience shows, I think you have to come out to the field and start practicing. And it is very easy as 1, 2, 3. First of all, you have to devote a couple of hours every day for your warm calling, not cold calling. And I'll explain what is that. The best time is 6 to 8 in the evening every day. You have to have and reserve 2 hours every weekend on Saturdays between 2 and 4 for meeting people face to face. And at the end, you have to hand out 3 business cards every day to strangers that you don't know. And we have a lot of opportunities to do that. Grocery shopping, convenience stores, gas stations, every day we have opportunity. So let's come back to face-to-face. When you have an open house, invite people to your open house with just listed invitations. This could be done an evening before your open house on Saturday. You can have just sold cards. After selling your property, you can go to your neighborhood and to the neighbors' houses that you have sold their property and inform them that you sold the property. If you don't have these two, you can do door knocking every weekend on Saturdays between 2 and 4. So, every day between 6 to 8 that you're doing warm calling, what is that? It means that you have to follow up on your door knocking, you have to follow up on your open houses, you have to follow up on your just listed and just sold. You have to update your current clients, which most realtors don't do. You have to call your circle of influence. You have to keep in touch with your past clients. So at the end of the day, it is not about more training, more education, and hiding yourself behind paper law. But you have to come out and start practicing. Until next time, I wish you all success. Goodbye.
I think what I'm trying to say here is that I just need you guys, if you're serious about this business, 5 days a week, just working for 2 hours a day. That's it. And I seriously mean it. Just do this for 1 month, and in a month's time, let's say today's mid-February, if we meet mid-March, you tell me whether you got a client or not if you do this. It's not needed that you work for 8 hours a day or even 5 hours, just a couple of hours a day. Now, what will you do in those 2 hours? I think the main source of business, this is warm calling. That's why I don't call it cold calling. You know, the difference between warm calling and cold calling is that cold calling is that you pick up the yellow pages or white pages, or going on to Canada 411 and calling every person on that street, and coming up with a script that if you're interested, well, that's a good idea. Actually, I did it. I did it for about a year, and I had some commitments to do it. And actually, in our next meeting, we will discuss about that topic in our group meeting, which is on March 17th. But warm calling is different. It is basically people that you have somehow met before that call, and that somehow, how did you meet is through face-to-face. So basically this number 2 will give you the source of the call, right? You guys are following me so far?
Yeah, it's like you hand out the calendars door to door.
Yes.
You meet them face-to-face and you follow.
Exactly. So they know you, they can connect. So you're not calling total strangers, which is cold calling. And most of the time with warm calling, you're getting a permission to call back. And trust me, from my experience, people will give you the permission. It depends how you ask them. So for example, if you ask them, would it be okay if I call you back to follow up? It's very rare that people say, no, don't call me. It's very rare. If you just ask them that, would it be okay if I call back and follow up? They will say, call me back or whatever. So then that means they have given you the permission. That is in a much better situation than picking up the phone and calling someone that is on a dinner with their kids, and you're calling and say, do you want to buy real estate or sell real estate? It's different, right? So now that's why you should focus. You should I said 5 days, I was wrong. It's 6 days basically. So you work 5 days doing this, and the 6th day, which is your Saturday, you should go out and find excuses to meet people. There are so many different sources which we might come up with. Now this third one it has less to do with this, but I think you have opportunity to give 3 business cards every day. We put gases, we go to convenience stores, we go different places and you know, printing business cards is not very expensive. And again, this could also be a source of warm calling, because someone that you give your card at, let's say, a gas station, or you're standing in a line at No Frills and someone is just in front of you and you have nothing to do, you start talking to that person and you give your business card, or to the cashier. It depends how you come across people. If you come out of blue and say, here is my card, they will throw it in garbage. You have to build some kind of relationship before giving out your business card. So if you're serious about it, you will work on it. You will try to learn how to do that. It's exactly like you know, you're in a party and getting a girl. If you go right away and say, oh, let's go out, they will say, get out of my business. But of course, if you say, can I buy you a drink or something like that, then it might work, right?
Yeah.
Might work, not guaranteed.
It's like you're doing yourself a 30-second commercial of this.
Exactly.
What would you say? It's not, I mean, if you approach someone just to chat and you're doing a 30-second commercial,
Yeah.
how would you tell them, I'm a real estate professional, or how to attract their attention?
Sure. I think I will tackle your question. If I'm in a professional networking event, I will prepare a 30-second marketing or commercial or whatever you want to call it. But if I'm in a no-frills line, I would find something that I can go with the flow. For example, this line is very slow, they're taking a lot of time, or it's really cold. Something that can go with the flow, that you don't sound like a salesperson. I would do it that way.
Correct. Just
so that way
conversation.
that way you will come more natural.
Yeah.
And then at the end you will try to lead your conversation towards business. So what are you doing? And then they might ask you what you're doing. Even if they don't ask you, then you can start saying that now your 30-second commercial could come up that after initial breaking the ice.
Right.
Yeah.
So what would be your 30-second commercial?
Like, well, basically you will, I think you will try to say that I'm a real estate professional, not a salesperson.
Right.
Yeah, and I think it depends, again, what is your target audience. Based on that target audience, you have already prepared your commercial. So for example, I'm focusing in Richmond Hill and I'm selling houses in this specific area. Or I am helping first-time buyers. Or the more targeted you are, the more people will feel more confident. But I think you can also prepare your 30-second commercial based, I have done it that way. My 30-second commercial is different each time, and I will tell you why. For example, in today's age and time, I will say, you know, CIBC is the last bank that is offering 2.99 mortgage. So it might be a good time to either buy or to invest. So if you're with the flow, you might sound maybe a little bit better.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. Oh, sorry, the sources of door knocking. Oh, about the 30-second commercial, if you want to see mine, I will bring it tomorrow, and then you can also share that, because it is on one of the brochures that I have prepared.
Okay.
Yeah. So face to face, I think we have discussed community, right? And for example, door knocking is very helpful. So if you're farming on Saturdays, you will be busy with this door knocking, right? If you're not having open houses, you can ask one of the agents in the office to give you open houses. And these are other sources. So basically, on this list or additional list, find a way to be busy between 2 and 4, or at least a couple of hours a week. That will give you a lot of source of people to call, because you will exchange business cards, you will exchange numbers. Hopefully it's not a nightclub, but I think other than that, anything else is good. That's not counted as the social networking. Okay, so this is the sources. So you have, for example, those 6 people you could call within those 6 to 8 hours. Try to find as much as possible warm sources. And when it is warm, it will take longer too. If you call a stranger, they will click close and you keep on closing. But if it's a warm call, sometimes it could take 5-10 minutes, because you're trying to build relationship. And when you're building relationship, for example, if you're door knocking and someone opens the doors and says, oh, right now my kid is not feeling well, then when you call them, the first thing you will ask is, how is your kid? And then they will start talking about their kid. Oh, we took them to hospital, this happened. So that 2 hours could easily get filled. When you start, it might be a little bit harder, but as you go a few months down the road, the 2 hours is going to get filled really quickly. So just reserve those 2 hours for that. And I think you keep on following up. I think this follow-up is basically, unfortunately, I don't know if you guys have bought houses with agents, because you don't, maybe I'm assuming you guys have not yet had any transaction, or if you did, unfortunately most agents do not serve their clients by keep in touch with them, keep them up to date. So you can also use those 2 hours to keep your clients up to date. By calling them, by keeping in touch with them. For example, for a week you may not meet your buyer because there is nothing that meets their criteria, but that doesn't mean you will not call them for a week. You should keep on calling them and saying that, okay, I checked the market today, but unfortunately there is nothing available. If you don't call them for a week, they will think either you're too lazy or too busy. So, oh, this is not the right guy to work with. That's a mistake that a lot of people make. So after even the transaction happens, you have to keep in touch. Okay, what's going on with your mortgage? What's going on with your insurance? When are you moving? So you can see, I hope you can see that 2 hours could easily get filled, because you have so many people to serve in those 2 hours. So if you work those 2 hours and keep it reserved a day, the rest of the day you can do whatever you want. I mean, the rest of the things such as paperwork or offers or things like that, it could be any time of the day, wherever it's needed. But those 2 hours are your working hours. Okay, so I think this is Our presentation formally ends with that slide, but this is a bonus that I think I have a presentation like giving you some basics of how to be a good salesperson and what is involved in being a good salesperson. There are books written. I think I have tried my best to kind of sum up everything that's possible within 5 minutes in this video to talk about sales, but trust me, it's not as easy as I'm trying to bring it up here, but I have tried to summarize it. So, but I have also selected the most important sales skills that a salesperson needs to have, and this is something that is natural in some people, but it is not very natural in some other people. But for those of us that is not very natural, for example, we are shy or whatever the reason might be, we can work with ourselves and make it possible. I think hopefully this video will help to do that. So I will play it, and then I think there are slides about it too, so we can let me try to play the video first.
client take it as steps towards taking you to them saying yes handling is what I call is triple A method. You have to first of all agree with everything that you say. I'm not ready to buy a house. You agree and say, yes, buying a house is the biggest step in life. I understand where you're coming from. So number 1A is that you agree. And then you ask questions. The second A is that you ask more questions. You open up, you make them open up, you make them feel comfortable to share that why they're objecting. And then you try to find alternatives and answers for their objection. Don't ignore their objection. So before I let you go, let me summarize this. Sales is as easy as 1, 2, 3. You find their motives, you attach a benefit, and then you handle their objection, and then you can easily close. Hopefully, these steps will encourage you to get out to the field and start practicing with the license that is in your hand. Thank you.
Was that helpful?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I think you will elaborate on this a little bit, and then I will leave a few minutes for question and answers if you have any. Sales is, well, easy, but at the same time complicated. There is a lot of psychology that's involved in sales. So basically, you're trying to read the other person's mind. Sometimes we spend years after years with our spouses, we cannot read their mind, the true motive. Is that not true? So how can it be possible to read a client's mind that you have just met? It's not easy. I think sales is more of a psychology than anything else. So when I say it is as easy, I mean the steps that I'm giving is easy, but the actual sales and reading other people's mind is not that easy. But hopefully these steps will help to achieve that goal. So the first one, although the video you have watched, I think I want to say it in different words. Basically, when you're having a conversation with your client, try to pay attention to the choice of words that they have. There is something behind those choice of words. And I think you can see the motive why they're saying those things. And once you know what is their motive, you will be able to come up with solutions for those motives, or you will try to come up with things that will give to their needs. For example, the example given in this presentation is that if they say we want to buy a house in a cul-de-sac, that means they're looking for some kind of security. That means maybe they're concerned about their kids or whatever. So then you will not show them houses that they will feel unsecure. So you know that security is the most important issue. Another example about understanding the motive, maybe it is not explained very well in that video, I will try to repeat this example, is that some of our people, some of our friends that we know may buy a car, a brand car like BMW or whatever. Now, the main intention is to get a social status so that they can show off to their friends or family or whatever. That is the main intention. But we cannot read people's mind, and they will not say it, or probably they will never say that I'm buying this for show off. And then once they buy, that is their intention, and once they buy the car, then they will try to rationalize it. Then they will say, oh, I bought this expensive car because it will last me longer, or the parts are much more quality, or the quality of driving is much better. But it is more, what I'm trying to say is that buying a car most of the time is not a logical decision, it is mostly a feeling and emotional decision. But we try to rationalize our emotional feelings. So same idea could apply to houses. Almost, if not all, almost every client that I have served, I know there was a lot of feeling involved with the house. It was more so that other family members bought it and they wanted to be part of it. They bought a bigger house, and even these guys could not afford it, but still they want to change their house to a bigger house because then they could say, we also have a bigger house. buying a house is more of a feeling than anything else. So somehow you have to look at the choice of words that they have in a conversation that they have with you. You can figure out what is kind of the motive behind why they're looking and what they're looking and what's going on, and then you will be able to help them better because you're giving their needs. So otherwise, if you don't pay attention to those details, you might lose them as a client. That's what I'm trying to say. So sales involve more of a psychology, as you can see. If you don't pay attention to those details, then you will not be considered as a good salesperson because you're not paying attention to their needs. You have to look at their motive and then come up with solutions. And I think the way you can come up with solutions is, well, I think this is also helpful. In order to find out their motives, you try to engage in a conversation. Some of us that have gone through university education, almost in, I think, no matter what kind of a field you take, there is a social sciences mandatory. And what they teach us in social science is that when you engage in a conversation, you never ask close-ended questions. You always try to ask open-ended so that they involve in a conversation. So, for example, do you think this house is big or small? They will say they will say that it's a small or it is big, right? But if you say, what is your opinion about this house? Then they will say more than just a word or yes and no. So if you want to connect with your client or with your prospect, potential people that are going to work with you, try to ask open-ended questions. And I think hopefully you can work on this so that it can become part of your nature, so that your questions are not close-ended but open-ended. And I think another thing that could be very helpful is that people in their life, they don't have a lot of people that can listen to them. So if you as a salesperson sit down and everything they say, you try to be kind of agreeing with them and understanding them and listening to them, they will like you as a salesperson. So some of us talk too much. We have this perception that if you're a good talking person, that means you're a good salesperson. I mean, by the way, there's a difference between not being confident and quiet. Those are, I want you guys to understand. You could be a less talking person, but doesn't mean you have less confidence. I mean, you have to portray and give this perception that you're confident, but at the same time, you're a person that's going to listen what they're saying, right? These are some of the basics of being a good salesperson. Now, I think we have already talked about this. Basically, once you know their motive, then you will try to find something that you can bring it to them and then attach a benefit. So a practical example of this example of the same house that they were looking for, a cul-de-sac, then you will bring them a house that is on a cul-de-sac, that is in a quieter neighborhood, and then you will try to say, okay, this is within your criteria for buying, but at the same time it has this benefit attached to this that you were looking for. You may not necessarily say that you were looking for, but from what they were saying, you kind of learned that this is what they were looking for. Now in their head they will think, oh, this guy is smart, he knows what exactly we're looking for. Then you will become a good salesperson. So that's why the difference between a good and a not good salesperson is that a good salesperson listens and pays attention to details of their words, and then try to come with a solution. I think this was discussed a little bit in our marketing or branding video that I say, but I think I will repeat it here, that always people are looking that what you're saying, they always in their head thinks, what is in it for me? This is always people, no matter what you say, people always think of their interest first. So if you're making any statement, or if you're having any brochure, or if you have any marketing material, or if you have any conversation with a client, always try to think about this, that people are thinking about their interest all the time, whatever you claim or whatever thing you're saying. Okay, I think this one gives you what I have said so far might have been more generalization, but this slide will give you a practical, really practical aspect of being a good salesperson. So always remember these 3 A's. No matter what kind of objection they will have, because clients will have objections. For example, they will say, oh, we are interviewing 3 people before selecting our agent. So very important, never disagree with them. As they say from very old times, that customers are always right, let them be right. Sometimes, excuse for my language, but they might make a stupid comment, but you never make them look stupid. You want to work with them. You're not there to prove that you're the best guy in the world. You're there to make the transaction happen. So even in sometimes a negotiation, or I think this hopefully will help us in our lives too, especially those of us that have wife, because they always make comments that sometimes doesn't make sense. I think if you want to be
You have to agree.
if you want to be out of trouble, especially when they're mad, I think the first thing you have to say is
Yes.
yes, and agree, and I understand. The word, I think the word I understand is one of the crucial words. That means you understand where they're coming from. So if they say that I'm interviewing 3 other people, then you'll say, yeah, I understand. And you'll say why you understand. You understand because selling a house or buying a house is not an easy thing. It's thousands of dollars, $500,000 investment for probably their lifetime. For most people, that is the biggest investment they will ever make in their life. I mean, signing on a document that is worth $500,000, for most of us, probably 99%, it is once in a lifetime. Well, of course, we'll buy other houses, but what I'm saying is that this is within the housing, this is probably the only thing that we do with that big transaction. Other than that, our transactions are buying a shoes or buying a car or things like that, which is much less than $500,000. So I understand it's a big deal, but then you will ask a question why before you provide your solution. So in this case, if they say this, going with the same example, that I'm looking for 3 clients, you will say, okay, I understand it's a big deal, but why are you doing that? Of course, why not in an offending tone, but more of a curious tone, that you want to sound curious, why are you doing that? And then most of the time they don't have the answer for that why. Or if they have an answer, it is not a logical answer. So for example, they will say, we will try to find we are interviewing 3 people to find the best person. If they have that answer, then right away you can have a solution that, okay, what are you looking at the best person? I'm doing this for you. So in your conversations with your client, remember those 3 A's, that first you understand them, second you try to inquire why they're objecting, and then third thing will be that you try to find solutions for their objections. Always if you ignore it, they will not say nothing to your face, but next time they will not call you. I'm telling you from experience.
Like in my career's training, when it's the same thing when you're trying to sell the house, and same example, like they're interviewing 3 other agents, or interviewing 3 agents to find the best person. And I remember Mike first says, yeah, okay, you agree, excellent. And then you try to find out when you want to be the last person for the interview.
Yes.
Right? I remember that. So that's because the last person will have the lasting impression compared to the first 2 interview candidates, correct?
Yes, that's true. But I think if I'm the first person, sometimes it's not in your control. You could be the first or the second person, because even if you request them that I want to be the last person, they might say every agent wants to be the last person.
That is true.
Yeah. So if I go to that kind of a presentation, before leaving the house, I will try to make this a statement that, would it be okay if you call me back before you make your decision after the last interview, so that I just, before you make your decision, I just want to know that you selected the person based on what. So if it is okay, if you can give me a time to come back after the last one, because once they select which one it's not much in your control. Of course, you'll try first to be the last person, but if you're not the last person, try to book another appointment after the last person. Just say, I just want to drop by and find out how did this go for you. Of course, you will give it a try, but there is nothing guaranteed. On the other hand, that's one. On the other hand, if you do the best job, if you're sometimes being the first person, and again, trust me, it might be better for you, because sometimes the first person will do such a good job and impress them so much that the first person convince the client to call the other